Hi, this is Karthik from EasyAutomation.com and welcome to Selenium Titbits. And in this part, we'll be talking about JavaScript and Selenium, and this is going to be part B. So, which means before watching this part, I would request you to watch the previous part of this particular video, since this part is going to be a continuation of that part. So in this video, we'll be creating our own Selenium WebDriver with the help of an interface called IJavascriptExecutor. So this is an interface which is available in Selenium WebDriver out of the box to execute the JavaScript. So if you watch the previous part, we were discussing about the document object model and browser object model, and we were trying to execute some of the scripts to perform some of the operation in the web pages, and we executed them using the Firebug plugin of Firefox. And we're going to execute the same JavaScript using the IJavascriptExecutor, and we're going to mimic as much as like Selenium WebDriver what it does. So basically your Selenium WebDriver, what it do is it opens the browser, it performs some of the operation in the text box, and it also clicks the search button or something like that. So the same operation we're going to mimic this time using the JavaScript executor. So we're not going to use something like find element by ID or find element by tag name or something like that. Rather, we're going to use the JavaScript to perform the same kind of operation. So to understand more deeper about that, let's flip to Visual Studio. All right, so we have a project here, and this is basically a small unit test project. And what I have created here is I have created an instance for the Firefox driver, and there's a test method, and I'm navigating to the amazon.in website. So this is the only out of the box method which I'm using to navigate to the particular web page, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to exactly mimic the same thing whatever you do using the Selenium. Let's say in Selenium we try to wait for the page to be loaded. So how to wait for the page to be loaded using JavaScript? So as we already discussed in our previous video, there is something called document.readyState. So this will return you complete or interactive, something like that. So whichever result comes in, you can verify that the page is fully loaded or not. So what is the script for that? It is document.readyState. So if you go back to the amazon.in website, and if you type document.readyState, and if you hit if you run this, you can see the state is complete. So this is the JavaScript to identify whether the page is loaded or not. So I'm going to copy this guy, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to verify if that particular stuff is working. So the script for the ready state is the ready state, and I'm going to create a string of the script. Let's say a loading script. So this is the script which I need to execute and see if it's going to return me a complete or interactive, something like that. So for executing this JavaScript in Selenium, we have an interface called IJavascriptExecutor. So let's try to quickly create a method and try to run all of them. So the best practice for executing some of the reusable code is to create them as a method. So I'm going to just create them as a method, and I'm going to create a return type as object for now, and you'll understand why I'm creating this in an object return type in a minute. So I'm going to say like this: public object execute JavaScript, and I'm going to pass string of script. All right. And then, as I already said, there is an interface called IJavascriptExecutor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this IJavascriptExecutor, and for the driver, and I'm going to just encapsulate that. And there is a method called executeScript. So this method will actually execute the JavaScript in the context of the currently selected frame or the window. So whichever current window that you are passing in that particular context, this particular JavaScript will be executed. So I'm going to select that method, and then I'm going to pass the script which I'm passing in as a parameter. So I'm going to return this, and the reason the return type of this particular method is object is because the execute script is also returning as an object return type. and that's why it is an object. So I need to execute this particular script and see how it works. So since this readyState method is actually going to return as complete or interactive, there should be a return in the keyword or in the script which I'm actually passing, right? So how to call this method? Pretty simple. Execute JavaScript, and then I'm going to pass the loading script, right? And then let's try to put a while loop here and see how it works. So I'm going to store this result of the loading state in a string, and then I'm going to pass in this particular loading state. We need to somehow convert this to a string. All right, and then I'm going to pass in the loading state is not equal to. If it is not equal to complete, so you just try to wait for some time. So for waiting, there is something called system.threading.thread .sleep, and I'm going to wait for maybe 3 seconds till the page is fully loaded, right? So once it is loaded, perform the next operation. So until it is going to be loaded, it's not going to go to the next statement. So we'll see how long it is actually waiting. So I'm going to make this as maybe 1 second, and so that we can have more number of results which I'm trying to pass in. So let's say waiting. All right, and then once it is fully waited, then I'm going to print in a message saying page fully loaded. Oops. All right, so let's try to run this code and see how it works. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the test explorer and I'm going to run the selected test. So this is going to launch me a Firefox browser. All right, a Firefox browser is opened and it is loading. Still loading. All right, fully loaded. Now let's go back to our test explorer and let's see the output. And you can see the page fully loaded. So it is loaded very quickly, and that's why I think the reason why it is not there in the while loop is because the page is fully loaded, and before it gone into this particular stuff, and there is no console.writeLine coming in. So to prove the concept how it works, I'm going to hit a breakpoint here, and I'm going to go to the test explorer and debug selected test. Let me close this window and also this one. All right, so the page is loading up, and you can see that still the breakpoint has not hit here. All right, is now hit. And now let's do a F10 and let's see what is the loading state. It is complete, so this particular statement is going to go false, so it is going to come out and the page fully loaded. That's what actually happened behind the scenes, right? So it seems like the functionality is working fine. Actually, our Selenium itself will actually wait for the page to fully load up before it does the operation, but it's not going to happen for all the situations. Sometimes you may need to wait for your page to fully load up yourself. Your Selenium is not going to do that for you, right? So now I'm going to remove this breakpoint, and what I'm going to do is, once the Amazon page is fully loaded, in our last video of this particular video series, we tried to pass in a text in the search text box. Also, we click the search button. I'm going to do exactly the same thing right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click that particular search button by entering the text for the search. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to again pass in some of the script. And now you can see that we're going to do exactly what a Selenium does behind the scenes. So your Selenium will find an element, and you pass in driver.find element by tag name or ID or tag instance or CSS, something like that. And rather doing all those things, I'm going to directly pass the JavaScript and I'm going to perform that operation. So which means you are trying to create your own Selenium WebDriver right here, right? So let's pass in the string script text box, and I'm going to pass the script for it. I already have that particular script, so I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it right here and just make them all as a single quote. And or maybe you can escape as well. So I'm going to make this a single quote. All right, this is for the search text box, and then for clicking the button, so script click button, oops, is equal to, and this is the script which we executed in our last video to click the button. I'm going to pass it right here, and again this is going to be single quotes, no spaces. All right, super. So the next operation is to execute the script. So I'm going to call this execute JavaScript. I'm going to paste it right here, and script text box, and execute JavaScript, and script click button, right? So this is the simple script and the script execution operation. All right, good. So let's try to run this and see if it really works. So if it does, then you made your own Selenium WebDriver. All right, a browser is opened. It's navigating to the page and it's waiting for the page to fully load up. It typed test there and also click the search button. And this is what exactly happening behind the scenes in Selenium itself. So Selenium converts all your language binding code from the client, and it converts to this equivalent JavaScript, and it injects into the browser and performs the operation. And that's what exactly we are doing in here as well. This is what is the pure concept of executing a JavaScript from the Selenium and creating your own WebDriver using IJavascript Executor interface, right? So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video and have a great day.